Take control of your health. This is Everyday Tonics.
Hey beauties, welcome back to the 4th episode of Everyday Tonics. And on this episode, we're going to talk about Reishi mushroom and specifically how powerful it is for stress and anxiety relief. Now, personally, mushrooms is how I first got into health. And I'm not talking about magic mushrooms. I'm talking about medicinal mushrooms, Chinese medicine mushrooms that are nourishing, that feed the organ systems and help bring the body into homeostasis, into balance. Because that is ultimately what health is. Health is just a state of balance. It's not too much energy or too low energy. It's just, you're just there. Now, reishi falls into the category of adaptogenic herbs or mushrooms. And I love adaptogenic herbs because it's nature's strongest form of medicine. And they're safe and non-toxic, which is important when you're taking medicine, that it doesn't have many side effects. At least side effects that are bad for you, because they have good side effects. Now, there's tons of mushrooms, but reishi mushroom is a tree mushroom, and it's categorized as a saprophyte. And what saprophyte means is that it grows on dying and diseased trees in the forest. If you ever go foraging, and this is what I do, you're going to find reishi most of the time on dead tree stumps or dead tree logs. And there's an intelligence at play here, because everything that happens in the forest is like a purpose. It's like self-organized intelligence. And reishi acts as a recycler of disease and death in the forest. And I freaking love mushrooms because people underestimate how much intelligence fungi have. Fungi have been on this planet way longer than us, probably hundreds of millions of years old. And our whole ecosystem of plants and trees wouldn't exist without fungi and without mycelium. Like underneath the dirt, if you could see what's happening, it's all mycelial network. It's like nature's internet. That's how it delivers nutrients, and it actually communicates through the mycelial network. And a couple cool facts about reishi is that, or about mushrooms in general, is you got to start looking at them as a technology, because the way they act is something that we can't make ourselves. So spores are levitational, which to me is just mind-boggling, because spores, they don't just come out of the mushroom and just fall to the ground. They actually travel through the air. They defy gravity, and they've already shown that spores can survive the vacuum of space and survive high altitude and travel the world, which is nuts. So reishi is the number one king of mushrooms in Chinese medicine. There was actually an emperor of China who had a reishi mushroom on top of his staff, because that was the symbol of power, and reishi was only used within the wealthy because it was that revered as an herb, like the powers it gave people. So in Chinese medicine, reishi is an herb for wisdom, for inner peace. It's anti-anxiety. It's good for memory. It's good for cognition. And it's really good for clarity of mind. So the secret to reishi, if you look at the chemistry, is that it contains beta-glucans and it contains plant sterols that act as precursors to hormones in the body. And something really cool that's in reishi is the triterpenes. So triterpenes have been shown to turn off the body's response to allergies. Studies have also shown that it increases the release of natural killer cells, which work to remove any mutated cells in your body and inhibit cell proliferation of bad cells in your body. So the cause of a lot of stress and anxiety is when your body is out of balance. For example, for anxiety, if you suffer from anxiety, that's when you feel very closed and you don't feel open or spacious, and you feel very on edge. And reishi works very well at dissolving the substances of anxiety, which is just density, and it allows openness to happen in your body. And I've found that reishi helps create space in my mind and my body, and I just feel very just like, it's very good to have reishi before meditation as well. It works really good. But when it comes to herbs like this, you have to have a very special relationship with it, because in Western medicine, we think about taking drugs, and we think about, I want to take this much of this to get this effect. But when it comes to things that are very like nourishing and feed the soul, you can't have that relationship with it. It's more of an intuitive relationship. So Reishi will aid you if you're personally trying to develop your spirit and your personal life with healthy practices. If you live a bad life and you think Reishi is going to change it, it'll make you feel all right, but it won't work in your favor if you're not implementing healthy habits in your lifestyle. I like to think as mushrooms and herbs as allies, and they work for you. And if you don't give them that space to work for you and give them that shot, then you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity for growth. And a big thing with taking mushrooms and herbs is just noticing how it makes you feel and developing a personal connection with it. And that's a big theme of this podcast, is taking control of your health. And that has to do with having an intuitive intelligence and connection with these herbs and mushrooms that are here to help us. So Reishi at first was very bitter for me, but it wasn't until I started drinking it more and allowing it to get in my system that I know when I need Reishi. I can feel it. I don't need to know like everything behind it. It's just, I feel the sense, almost like you get a thirst, you know, you need water. That's the same relationship you develop with these superfoods and these herbs. Now, what I notice from taking Reishi is that I get increased energy levels and my mental capabilities. I'm just way more like, I get way more clarity in my mind. And a trick that I do, and this works all the time, it hasn't failed me yet, is I had some Reishi that I found wild here in Florida, and I made a tincture out of it, which is just putting it in alcohol and letting it soak. And the alcohol breaks down the mushroom, and then that tincture you put under your tongue, and it's a very powerful way of delivering medicine. And whenever I feel sick or allergies or something's coming up, I have that in my house. It's about 3 years old, actually. And I take a few droppers of that, and that thing works magic. Because you have to remember, the purpose of this reishi mushroom in the forest is to feed off of disease and death. It's so smart at doing this. So when you put it in your body, it's going to help your body go through that process itself. When you have reishi, it pretty much kick drives your body as an immune modulator and helps you restore hormonal balance and get your body just like back in gear, which is pretty much homeostasis, which is just balance. It's where your body wants to be at, but because of certain stresses we put in our life, we're not always in balance, and this helps us get back in balance. It's also one of those special mushrooms that, because it's high in antioxidants and its power to boost the immune system, it's really good for fighting some serious nasty things like autoimmune disease, cancer, allergies, infections, and way, way more. Now, they're edible, but more often you'll find them in a supplement, like a pill, in a tincture, which is just an alcohol tincture, or in a powder. In the past, how it traditionally was made, and it's my favorite way to make it, is it's boiled in hot water. It's chopped up. At first, it has to be dried, then it's chopped up, and then it's boiled in hot water. And I love it like that because the hot water, having a hot reishi tea, really helps it just transmute your whole body and, you know, open up your mind, and it puts you in a meditative state very quickly. So what I recommend if it's your first time having reishi is to not buy the powder or the tinctures, is to buy the actual whole mushroom that's dried out and make tea with it, because you'll develop a stronger relationship with it at first. And then afterwards you can have some powders and tinctures or whatever. But you need to have that traditional contact. But I think that's the best way for you to really feel the effects of it, having it in a hot tea. And there's some really good deals and brands that I like that I will put in the show notes for you guys. And if you already take reishi and love it, there's 2 more powerful products that are from reishi that to me are like probably one of the most powerful superfoods out there as a medicine. So let me explain to you real quick. So triterpenes are the most active constituent in reishi. And in all these superfoods, there's usually a main constituent, which is the medicinal part of it. For example, in turmeric, there's curcumin. The curcumin, if you just take that like a supplement, it works wonders. I take that after I play basketball, if I have joint pain, and then all my pain goes away by morning. So the 2 products are reishi spore powder and reishi triterpene crystals. And they don't sound special, but you have to understand how hard these things are to make. So it takes 1,000 kilograms of reishi powder, the mushroom powder, the whole powder, to make 1 kilogram of reishi spores. And the spores are what have high concentration of triterpenes and polysaccharides. That's where the medicine is. And then it takes another 1,000 kilograms of the spore powder to make a few kilograms of the triterpene crystals, which is just the crystals, nothing else. And I've bought that product before. It's not cheap, let me tell you. It's about, you can find it on some websites for $99, but on Amazon right now, which is the only place I could see to buy it, it's $147. I bought it for like $120 a long time ago, but it lasts a long time. Like if you take it every day, it'll last like probably over 2 months because you only have to take 1/8 of a teaspoon. And it's pretty bitter, but man, that stuff would really like get my mind just like blown. But I mean, if you want to go the spore route, which is not as potent as a drug, it's cheaper. It's like $49, I believe. Now, these is only if you're like have a specific goal with reishi. If you need to cure things like HIV or any tumors or any specific health problems. Alzheimer's a big one because there's numerous studies showing how reishi protects the hippocampus. And they did these studies in rats. That's why it's so good for meditation. And I feel like it opens up my mind and my clarity. So the hippocampus is an organ and it pretty much has the function of consolidating all of your short-term and long-term memories. And it's used for spatial navigation. That's why on reishi and all these powerful products, I feel like I can see more and everything's just bigger. It's a cool experience. And in Alzheimer's disease, the hippocampus is one of the first places to get damaged. And it looks like the spores from the reishi mushroom go straight to the hippocampus. They attack it and they help alleviate oxidative stress and neuron apoptosis. And apoptosis is when a cell dies because it's weak and it can't function anymore. So it actually keeps more cells in your hippocampus. And I'm just going to throw this out there, but it's not talked about a lot. But more than 5 million people live with Alzheimer's in the country. And from statistics, every 67 seconds, someone develops Alzheimer's. And it's the 6th leading cause of death in the US. About 500,000 people die every year because of Alzheimer's. And 1 of 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's or some form of dementia. So we're dealing with a lot of like pollutions and chemicals we never dealt before. That's why so many people are getting Alzheimer's. So I think reishi and these powders, specifically the spore powder and the triterpene, is for people who want to get real results. Otherwise, just do the tea if you just want to experience it. And I can tell you, I've taken the triterpene crystals before. I'm not buying it now because I don't feel like my body needs that transformation because I've done a lot of transformation. But when I took it, I felt like this warm glow throughout my whole body. It was very powerful. I felt like it was like a force I've never felt before. It was pretty cool. And trust me when I tell y'all that this is the #1 mushroom out there for your health. There's a whole bunch more that I'm going to introduce to you guys for you to take daily. But this is where I started, and this is where most people start on their journey to health and developing a relationship with these plant and herbal allies. Reishi is where you want to start because that has the most profound and wide-ranging effects on your body. All right, so I had more information to share, but I kept it brief because I want you guys to know the importance of just, if you haven't had reishi before, just buy it and try it because you're not going to regret it. And you have to make sure you're consistent because consistency is key to developing intuition with these plants. If you take it once and then never take it again, you're not going to reap the long-term benefits of taking it. And you're not going to notice when you stop taking it how you feel. So you have to take it consistently. Drink it, I would say, in the morning and at night for at least 2 weeks. And you'll notice a difference immediately. And make sure you buy from the brand that I link in the show notes because that means that I've tried it and that it's good. I've tried a lot of reishi mushrooms. I've tried the wild ones, so I know what the good ones are. All right, boys and girls, thanks for listening. And if you have any suggestions, comments, shoot me a DM on Instagram, leave a review. I just got on Twitter. I'm on Facebook now. Hit me up. I'm open to collaborate, do some interviews with some cool people. Let me know what's up. All right, peace out.
This is Everyday Tonics.